Matt Lenihan, Boxing Social in association with Empire Fight Store and Forged Irish Stout. We're here. Gareth A, Davies, the night after an incredible night, a historic night. Oleksandr Usyk becomes undisputed heavyweight world champion. First professional career loss for Tyson Fury, but what a night, what a fight, and it lived up to all the pre-fight hype.
The fight itself was amazing. The intrigue afterwards has been phenomenal. The fallout's been fascinating to deal with. It was an event and a fight befitting of the first undisputed heavyweight title fight between two undefeated fighters since Riddick Bowe and Evander Holyfield, but the first fight of the century since the fight of the century in '71 between Ali and Frazier, and it had every ingredient that will make it go down in history, from the dramatic pageantry of the ring walks, the green Cossack outfit of Oleksandr Usyk, the dancing heel played by Tyson Fury, all the way probably till the 9th round in that fight. Such an amazing fight when you look back on it. Fast, Usyk squeezing the space, Fury showboating, hands down, rope-a-dope, tongue out, battered in the 9th round, dominant in the first 6 rounds, looked like he was about to pick apart and beat up and stop Usyk. It was a universal thought after 6 rounds. Brilliance from Usyk in the final third. Amazing courage and bravery and obduracy from Tyson Fury when he was hurt in that 9th round. How he survived it. Torrid 15, 20 punches and then came back and fought back for the last 3 rounds. The scorecards, what they said afterwards, even Fury saying that if his corner had told him to go for it in the last round, he would have gone and given everything. The fact there's a prospect of a second fight, it was amazing. So many amazing nuances. Such a great honour and a privilege to be here at this contest. It was amazing.
Well, look, at the start of the week, if the
hotel...
hotel...
The Forged Irish Stout and Empire Fight Sports mind me vaping or not?
You can vape all you want for me, pal. So, at the start of the week...
Kiwi, passion fruit and guava.
Oh, lovely. For all you vapors out there. The fight itself, you said at the start of the week, I'm thinking controversial draw. You weren't far off it, let's be honest. But in terms of the fight itself, a lot of people's opinion was that Tyson sort of banked quite a few of the early rounds, but then Usyk obviously turned in that round and managed to force the standing count. Talk to me about that scenario, because a lot of people were saying the referee's count was too long, the fight should have been stopped. I sort of wrote a little bit, and I see the flip side to that.
You wrote a little bit?
I did, yeah. I wrote a little bit of a thing about it, because I was just like, it's not going anywhere yet. But
what have you written?
So for that, I was the referee side of it. My thoughts were that I see both sides. I was trying to give the referee the benefit of the doubt, knowing that referees are under so much scrutiny in these high pressure fights. They often come under a lot of criticism, so it's their job to know the individuals. Tyson obviously has amazing powers of recovery, so I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt a little bit to say, you know what, he knows this fighter, so he knows that. And the round after, Tyson recovered and here we go again kind of thing. But they still think question marks over when he actually stopped it to do the 10 count, and also the length of the actual 10 count.
I have no issue with what Mark Nelson did, because if you look at it, and I will need to watch it back, my instinct at the time is Fury took a lot of punches, he was nearly out on his feet, and then he sagged into the ropes with his arms over the ropes, and that was the moment to count him. He was watching very closely, because the fight could have ended any time in that 25 seconds leading up to that. 15 punches, 18 punches, largely from that powerful power hand, left hand from Usyk, which started with a left. But I think he stepped in. You can disagree with it or agree with it, but Fury went down into the ropes, and it was only his arms...
Sort of sagged into him, didn't it?
Well, it was only his arms that stopped him from going right down. No one did that by design to buy him... No one did that by design to buy himself time. I think Mark Nelson acted instinctively. Had it been the other way around, it might have been a bit different. There were even people saying he might have waved it off. But as you say, Fury's powers of recovery, the fact he was still moving along the ropes like this, and he had a sense of staying out of danger, the fact he held on to Usyk as he was trying to just finish him, and the bell went. He was saved by the bell in that round, but he came back in the 10th. I had him winning the 12th. 11th and 12th were swing rounds for me.
There was a lot. I think there was about three. Three swings rounds.
1, 2, 11 and 12.
Yeah.
A lot of swing. There were at least 3 swing rounds in there, and only needs one of those swing rounds, and you got your split draw.
Well, let's come on to what's potentially next. We'll come on to Usyk in a minute. I want to start with Fury though. He's got all the money in the world. He's in history books having every belt in the heavyweight division. He ain't got the tag of undisputed. He's had the belts though. We've seen him before when he's been the hunter going for the titles, and I alluded it in the press conference. Not that he needs them, but you'd think that after after this performance, do you think the fire will be there to run this rematch back in October to say, you know what, there's enough there to suggest I can turn this round?
I think he'll really consider retirement for a little couple of weeks, and as the dust settles and the grief leaves him from suffering his first loss in his 16th year as a professional, and he spends time with Paris, his pregnant wife and all his kids, and time with them will be important. I think he'll start to think about it is worth doing it again. When they look at the footage of the fight, you stop it at 6 rounds, he's in charge. He's starting to beat Usyk up from range, finding holes in the door to go through the keyhole, go through the letterbox, to bang the door down at the top. Usyk's feeling it. So I'm not sure if it's at that point he starts to indulge himself a little bit more, gets confident and comfortable and maybe a bit greedy. Yeah. And I don't mean that as a criticism, it's something we say in boxing, that you can get too greedy. And if he'd stayed there with his hands up and kept working on Usyk, it might have been a completely different outcome, taking nothing away from what Usyk did as those rounds then went on, because Usyk changed the pattern of the fight and got himself back into it, and then that torrid 9th round, from which Fury had to cling on then in lots of ways. I think they'll see enough in it for him to have the rematch. He's a proud traveller, isn't he? A proud fighting man.
Proud man.
If he had 80 million on the line for this fight, maybe there's another 80 million there for him. It's a 2-fight deal. Psychologically, I've always said this, they know there's 24 rounds available between them. I think he'll do the rematch. I think it's going to be another hellacious 12 rounds.
If he looks back at that, do you think he will say, look, I should have... I suppose he doesn't know because he's not counting while he's doing the rounds, but he referenced it in the press conference. His corner clearly thought they'd won the fight because, and I'm not taking anything away, I thought you said you thought he won the 12, but there was almost a lack of urgency or a bit of panic in the air from him, wasn't there? There was almost like a, I think I've won this kind of feeling, but there was almost, when I was sat ringside, there was a sense in the air that this isn't done kind of thing. I don't know if you had that, but I definitely thought, you know what, this is not a foregone conclusion that you'll win this close fight.
Well, I was just sending my score. I was doing a live blog for the Telegraph at the time, and scoring my rounds every 2 and doing a report on what's happening in those rounds. And the truth is, I did not have time. My Wi-Fi wasn't working very well. I was doing it off this, and I probably missed about 4 seconds of the fight. I missed a couple of punches. I really want to watch it back because I think Fury slipped a lot of punches as well.
Yeah.
I really want to watch it back. I didn't know my score when we went into the 12th round because all I was doing was sending my score, and I didn't have time to count it up. And I asked the Telegraph to send it back to me, and I had Usyk winning 114, 113, 114, 113. And I still had the sense that Fury needed to win the last 2 rounds to win the fight, which is right now in my book. Or it would have been, I think, a draw. I can't think of it right now, I'm too tired. But if he'd won the last 2 rounds on the judges' scorecards, and I haven't seen the official scorecards as scorecards, which you always get in America, but you don't always get here. I'm looking forward to seeing them and seeing the fight back in its entirety. He should have been told to go for broke in that last round, in my view. But it depends what he had left.
Yeah.
Maybe part him. We nearly caught that fly then. You nearly did. You don't know how much he had left. They both gave so much in that fight. Yeah. Usyk had an MRI scan because he had a bad jaw afterwards. Fury looked more marked up. No, actually looked more marked up when he's fought Wilder, but it was a rough fight. It was a fast 36 minutes in the heat.
Yeah.
It was a relentless contest.
I just want to pick up on that because from the boxing hardcores, from the outside looking in, a lot of people were saying a chess, myself included, a chess match of the highest caliber potential. If you're a casual to go, we're not sure what's going to happen here, but what we got was that will have appealed to absolutely everyone, and it didn't disappoint. Quickly, let's touch on Usyk. Where does he sit now in terms of? Where does he sit now in terms of the greats? He's conquered the cruiserweight division. He hasn't just come to the heavyweight division, by the way, either, and picked up a vacant title. He has gone for Anthony Joshua twice, Tyson Fury. Obviously, he's beaten Derek Chisora in a close fight. Witherspoon. Where does he sit? He's a special talent.
Yeah, I've done a piece on this. I think he's the 26th or 27th undisputed champion in history. And I've ranked the top 6 modern in order. Obviously, this is just my view.
Subjective, right?
Yeah, of course it is. It's my pound for pound. Undisputed. I've gone for Lennox Lewis as number 1. I've gone for Usyk as 6. Yeah. This is in the last 50 years. Usyk at 6.
You went Lennox 1. I think Mike Tyson's above Usyk.
No.
So
Muhammad Ali's 2. I think Lennox Lewis would have beaten all of these.
Yeah.
But again, it's debatable. Lennox Lewis, Muhammad Ali, George Foreman, Mike Tyson, Evander Holyfield, and Oleksandr Usyk. And I'm going in their prime.
Yes.
So I think a late 80s Mike Tyson would have beaten in a late 80s or a prime Evander Holyfield, yeah. Not the current Evander Holyfield. Yeah. God knows what happens if those two got in a ring. And it's unbelievable to say that Mike Tyson's about to get in a ring with Jake Paul. I'm intending to go as well.
Yeah. Hopefully I am.
Yeah. I just think Lennox Lewis, with that big jab and that powerful right hand, and knowing the presence he had in the ring and the generalship and the poise and the balance, and he defeated the 2 guys that beat him, and he had off nights that night. But Usyk, I put him in the pantheon there.
Yeah, he's at that top table in the history books.
The interesting thing is, if Fury had become undisputed, where would he sit in there as well?
Well, if he had, where would he sit? I suppose it's difficult because we've seen what we've seen now. I suppose maybe, but if he had beaten Usyk, say that fight and he got stopped him in there. I thought won a convincing points victory where we were like, well, it's clearly a winner.
117, 111.
Yeah.
God, yeah,
difficult.
Like hard to put yourself there now. I think Lennox Lewis, as Lennox Lewis told me earlier in the week, me and Tyson would have had to have 2 fights. It would have been a tussle.
Yeah.
So that's how much he respects him. I think Muhammad Ali. God. I think Muhammad Ali might have outboxed Tyson Fury on points. Mike Tyson, I think, might have been a little bit too small for Fury, but then again, trouble is we're judging on last night.
Yes.
And I'll say this, and I mean this fully respectfully. You know that I have a closeness with Tyson Fury and his team. I see signs of ageing. It's not a ridiculous thing to say. He's 36 in August.
Happens to everyone.
Yeah, but it's also determines how much longer he goes on. There's huge riches there, like we said earlier, because of this time in the sport. Yeah. But I think if he fights Usyk, and defeats Usyk in the second fight, I don't think he'll fight Joshua.
With all the money on
Does that surprise you?
Yes and no, because, like you say, the fact he's even fighting Usyk now, technically, he's already had the belts in his mind, and I'm sure in his mind he never pictured a world where he'd get beat by a guy like Usyk. So if he does beat him...
And really hurt.
Yes, and really hurt. So now, does he go, kind of, do I want to put myself through another training camp and prepare for him? But then I think there's a lot of money at stake, and he's always said, you know what, at the end of the day, and I know he plays to the cameras sometimes, but if they pay me enough money, you put the fight at Wembley, him versus Anthony Joshua, and we could be in a scenario now where you think about it, this IBF title is now going to be fought by Joshua versus the winner of Hrgovic Dubois, so it could be undisputed.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm thinking steps ahead, and Usyk's he's got to beat Usyk. So.
I don't think there'll be enough money on the line at Wembley for it to happen. I think it'll have to be out here in Saudi Arabia. Look what this set piece created for them out here. Major publicity. I don't care what anyone says about the atmosphere. It was electric in there. It was an amazing pageant. It took it to another level. Always got people moaning about something, and there's no need for it. You know?
People need to sit back and enjoy it at this point.
It's one of the greatest atmospheres I've ever been in, if not the best. All right, you haven't got loads of people. You know, there aren't 30,000 UK and Ukrainian fans in there, but you know, let's be culturally appropriate. He said in short shorts. But no, it was amazing. It was amazing. So much to talk about. We could sit and talk about it for hours, couldn't we?
We could, but I've got a flight to catch.
Right, go get your flight. I'm on my way to Rising Stars, Saudi Arabia. It's a brilliant promotion. Lots of guys in the region. I think there's 24 fighters from Africa, all over Arabia. It's live on DAZN International. I think it's on ESPN as well. Looking forward to that next week. Working with Anthony Crolla. We're off to Abu Dhabi to do it, and then I'm back here for 5v5, Hearn versus Warren. And that might be an interesting atmosphere, because it's probably going to be more local fans than
this one was.
Yeah, because I think people have travelled for this. This is the big one. I mean, there's a lot of interest. I think on TV there'll be a lot of viewers for that. But who we got? We're picking Hearn or Warren? It's too late in the day.
It's not just that. Like, we don't really do the predicting, but I have to say, when you look at that fight card,
it's impossible.
Anything can happen. I wouldn't surprise me if it all one, and there's a few mixed bags. Anything can happen.
We do know, it's pretty public now that the winner of Hrgovic and Dubois is likely to face Anthony Joshua on September the 21st at Wembley Stadium, and also that
Wilder.
Was that? Who was it on there? And Eddie Hearn. You picking Eddie Hearn?
Maybe.
Right, shush.
So Joe Pugh's picking Eddie Hearn.
And we've heard that if Deontay Wilder looks really good against Jili Zhang, Jared Anderson on August the 3rd. It's all happening. Stay tuned. Peace out.